You ever wonder what happens when the wrong person tries to push the right farmer a little too far? I'll tell you, because I lived through it, and trust me, it's not the story they thought they'd get. I turned a habit of trespassing into a memory. This whole community won't forget. And if you stick with me, you'll see just how deep some folks will dig to protect what matters, you know what I mean? So my name's Caleb Morrison, Cal for short. 6 months back, I inherit this stretch of land from my granddad, 15 acres of prime farmland smack in the middle of what used to be rural bliss, before developers decided the countryside needed more beige houses and people who think fences are just suggestions. My granddad Pete, he fought off the bulldozers for years, kept this place looking green, while everything around us turned into Crystal Ridge neat lawns. Copy-paste houses, folks who complain if your mailbox leans 2 degrees left. We're an island in a sea of HOA regulations, and I'll be honest, I liked it that way. Except there's this dirt road slicing my land in half. Was always private, says so right on the deed, but folks in Crystal Ridge love using it as a shortcut to shave 2 minutes off their commute. Most of them wave by a few tomatoes during the harvest, act neighborly. But then there's Vivian Blackwood. Yeah, she's got the SUV that looks like it never met a muddy road. First time we meet, she's tapping her nails on her Mercedes, all confidence and no apologies, right? Next to my busted fence, her handiwork. "Oh, you must be Pete's grandson," she says, voice like she's already bored. This shortcut's tradition. Your granddad never minded. I'm sure you won't either. You ever notice how some people say reasonable like it's an insult? That's her specialty. She tells me she's the HOA president, flashes a smile that'd make a dentist rich and makes it clear she expects me to roll over. I try to keep it civil, offer to talk about a real arrangement, but she's not interested. Nobody's complained except you, sweetie, she says, and I'd hate for there to be unnecessary tension with the community. HOA regs can get tricky. She leaves me with a threat disguised as a warning, and I can tell this is the kind of woman who's got lawyers on speed dial. I tell her I've got a shovel. She laughs. And that's when I know this isn't just a neighborly spat. This is a test. Now maybe you're thinking, I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. But when you walk that road, see the tire tracks, turning your family's irrigation system into a shortcut. Find cigarette butts and coffee cups in your tomato plants. And notice someone's out there snapping pictures of your land. Yeah, you start paying attention. So I do my homework. Turns out this community tradition is just straight up trespassing. There's no easement, no right-of-way, nothing legal about it. I could have put up a gate, sure, but something told me Vivian would just twist that into a violation of her precious HOA's visual standards. I needed a better solution, something agricultural. See, I know a thing or two about geology. I used to work in drilling wells, soil surveys, the whole 9 yards. The county, they let you dig pretty deep if it's for farming, and my land sits right on a natural aquifer. Suddenly I have an idea. My granddad always said sometimes you gotta dig deep to find the truth. Sometimes you gotta dig a hole big enough for someone to fall into before they start respecting your boundaries. About then, Vivian kicks her campaign up a notch. First, an official HOA letter shows up full of violations. My tomatoes are too tall. The fence isn't the right color. The grass is a hair too long. She's got fines for everything. Old Pete, my neighbor, comes by and laughs so hard he nearly chokes on his coffee. He tells me Vivian's a retired real estate attorney, been trying to buy up all the farms for a luxury resort. My granddad, it turns out, beat her in court over this same road a few years back. She figures I'll be easier to push around. She's got her whole crew with her one afternoon clipboard guy, measuring tape lady, and some wannabe CSI with a camera. They hand me a compliance schedule and say I need $20,000 in upgrades or else. The best part. While they're measuring my tomatoes, I'm measuring the dirt, plotting out exactly where a new irrigation well might just make their shortcut. Complicated. I start documenting every car, every trespass, every threat. I file permits for a legitimate well and some drainage upgrades, both of which totally necessary for a growing farm, both of which require a little construction, right? smack in the middle of the dirt road. County rubber stamps everything. Guess those agricultural improvements are a lot less controversial than HOA meetings. Now here's the twist. A local blogger, Maya Chen, gets wind of all this. At first I figure she's just after some drama for her community website, but she's done her homework. She knows about Vivian's shell companies, her plans for a resort, and all the families who sold under pressure. Maya shows me how Vivian's been painting herself as a victim online, rallying other HOA presidents to her cause. Suddenly, this isn't just my fight, it's a pattern. Permits approved drilling crew on standby Old Pete gathering volunteers like it's a barn raising. We set up shop on a Saturday, tools and sandwiches in hand. By noon, there's a well where there used to be a shortcut neatly camouflaged just like the land around it. The next morning, we're finishing up the irrigation system, fully legal, fully documented, just a little inconvenient for folks who don't own the land they're driving across. And wouldn't you know it, Monday morning I'm sipping coffee when I hear the crash, expensive German engineering meeting basic physics. Vivian's SUV nose first in the well horn, blaring steam, rising her pride soaking wet. Firefighter, sheriff tow trucks, it's a whole circus. Even Maya's there snapping photos, taking statements, collecting the story that'll light up the neighborhood. Then comes the real kicker. In the muddy water, scattered from Vivian's ruined briefcase, are all the documents she tried so hard to keep hidden: contracts, payoff letters, even a forged agreement supposedly signed by my granddad while he was in the hospital. Sheriff sees it, Maya sees it, half the county sees it by the end of the day. HOA holds an emergency meeting, community packed to the walls. Everyone wants to see what happens to Queen Vivian now. She tries to spin it, claims it's about safety and property values, but I've got all the evidence loaded up. Medical records, court documents, the lot. Even folks who'd been afraid to speak out share their stories. Fines for mailboxes, threats over gardens, all of it. The board calls for a vote. Vivian's out just like that. Her empire built on intimidation and paperwork collapsed in a night. But it doesn't end there, because when someone loses everything they've built on control, sometimes they finally look in the mirror. A few days later, she shows up at my porch. Not the old Vivian, but someone tired and honest. She hands me a letter. No legal threats, no more shell games. She tells me why she did it, how she lost herself trying to build something that wouldn't leave her after her family did. She confesses to the forgery drops, all legal action, resigns, sells her house, and apologizes not just to me, but to the whole community. It's funny, standing at the well that started this war, realizing it did more than keep cars off my land. It forced us all to face what lay beneath the surface. I built a bridge over the ditch with an old sign, Morrison Memorial Crossing, open for neighbors, closed to bullies. The garden's bigger now, the community closer, the new HOA focused on actually helping people, not harassing them. 6 months on, Vivian's gone, the resort plan's scrapped for a community park, and I get to farm in peace. Sometimes the deepest truths are the ones right under your feet if you're brave enough to dig for them. So let me ask you, have you ever stood your ground and changed the whole story for your neighborhood? Drop your thoughts below. Let's see where this conversation takes us. And hey, if this hit home, share it with a friend. Maybe we'll build some bridges instead of digging more wells.